Good evening. Welcome to the December 2nd meeting of the East Point City Council. Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Shropshire. Councilmember Freely. Councilmember Ziegler. Councilmember Cummings. Councilmember Mitchell. Councilmember Butler. And Councilmember Martin Rogers. Mayor Holiday Ingram, we have a quorum.
Thank you. If we can stand for a moment of silence and a pledge to the flag. Our Sergeant at Arms this evening is Captain Robinson. Thank you so much for your service. Do we have any presentations and announcements at this time? Councilmember Martin Rogers.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, East Pointers. Just wanted to send an announcement about the upcoming Warm Wishes with Ward D, which is going to be a holiday gathering and community celebration on Saturday, December 7th, from 10 a.m. until 12 noon at the Word of Faith Love Center, located at 2435 Ben Hill Road in East Point, Georgia. Please come out and celebrate the holidays with Ward D. Bring one non-perishable food item that will be delivered to a local food pantry. Although RSVP is not required, it is strongly encouraged, and you can RSVP by calling 404-270-7090. I look forward to seeing everyone there. Thank you.
Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the opportunity to make the announcement that we're having our annual Silver Fox Ball, which will be held Thursday at 6 p.m. Please RSVP at the clerk's office, and that is our Silver Fox Ball. That will be Thursday at 6 p.m. If you will hold for me 1 second, I can get you the information. I'm sorry about that. I don't have it pulled up right readily. Pardon my time, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. Okay, that's the Silver Fox Ball, Thursday, December 5th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Atlanta Airport Marriott Gateway, 2020 Convention Center Concourse, Atlanta, Georgia 30337. That's right near the Convention Center in College Park. You can RSVP at 404-270-7090. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. I do have an announcement. The non-perishable food item went so well that I would like if we do another one for the month of December. In this time, it will be with all of the sororities and the fraternities. Yes, I make a motion that we do another non-perishable food items. The drop-off will be right here at City Hall and the fire stations.
Been moved and properly seconded that we host another non-perishable food item drive in conjunction with the Divine Nine. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion?
Councilmember Shropshire, the hours that they can drop off.
The regular hours are 8 to 5, and I think it was like maybe 8 or 7, whatever the last hours were. with the last non-perishable food items that people brought over to give to the needy families.
You said the drop-off locations were the fire
Would
station?
be any fire station in East Point and the City Hall.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. I would like to thank and say that I hope that everyone had a joyous Thanksgiving holiday and break filled with love, with family and friends. I want to say thank you to everyone who helped make the Thanksgiving, our 6th annual Thanksgiving brunch a success. Councilmember Shropshire, Councilmember Martin Rogers, and Councilmember Freely were there serving. Thank you so much for joining us. I also want to thank our sponsors, Edge, the Edge Chef the Fun, who caters. He's a celebrity chef, and he caters the meal every year for us, me, my mom, and my assistant Shannon. I have to say thank you to them too. We went the night before to help prepare, so I made 9 pans of corn souffle for the community and participated in cutting up some other items. So we are grateful that it's a labor of love and service and giving back. Chick-fil-A on Cleveland Avenue, the Common Market, 100 Black Men in South Metro, Georgia Power, East Point First Malibu, United Methodist Church has been our host for at least the last 3 or 4 years. Thank you to them, as well as MME, Right Hand Foundation, and Amazon. It was definitely an opportunity to serve and ensure that there was a hot meal provided in the city for people who may have needed a meal or just wanted to come and connect and fellowship. So thank you to everyone for making that a success. Our tree lighting will be this Friday, December the 6th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. here at City Hall on the front lawn. Again, that's this Friday. It's December the 6th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And tomorrow is the election day for the runoff election for the Ward B at-large seat. Madam City Clerk, if I'm not mistaken, all of our polling locations will be open tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am, and that information is on the website on the Don't Forget to Vote 2024 runoff election day and polling locations tab.
So the information is on our website, but tomorrow you have to vote at your assigned polling location, and so make sure you look at your voter registration card or go to the My Voter page online. I think it's mvp.sos.ga.gov, if I'm not mistaken. You can check your assigned polling location there. We have, is it 7 locations in the city for voting? I know there's 2 in Ward A, 2 in Ward B, and there's some overlap. But make sure you go and look at the your registration card. It's either going to be East Point First United, East Point Malibu, United Methodist Church, the Bowden Center, Jefferson Park Recreation Center, Woodland Middle School, Brookview Elementary, and Camp Creek Middle School. Did I miss one?
Did you say St. Stephen's?
And St. Stephen's St. Stephen's Missionary Baptist Church. So those are the locations, but you have to go to your assigned location tomorrow. Polls open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And make sure you vote. Every election is critical to progress. Also, the Microsoft will be having a community meeting. Is it December 3rd? Tomorrow. Oh, that's tomorrow. I'm not sure. What's the location? This is a community meeting regarding the Pocket Park that will be a part of the project. And so our Parks and Recreation Department is hosting that meeting with Microsoft, but it's a community meeting tomorrow, December the 3rd, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Atlanta Community Food Bank at 3400 North Desert Drive, East Point, Georgia. Again, that's Atlanta Community Food Bank, 3400 North Desert Drive, tomorrow, December 3rd, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Any other, if not, we will move to committee reports. Any reports from anyone on the council committee? Can we, next move to adoption of the council agenda? Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
So moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, approval of city council minutes from the November 18th, 2024 regular meeting of East Point City Council. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt city council regular meetings from November the 18th.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have no public hearings this evening. Do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments this evening.
Sorry.
No.
Okay, moving on to our agenda items. Council discussion and possible action on CRU consumption on premises, alcohol license. Can we get a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action?
I'm in.
It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Jessie, from what I recall, this was before us at the last meeting in November, and the applicant indicated that they had a family situation and wanted the item to be deferred to tonight, and there were some questions also from council members. And so I will turn it over to you. I don't see anyone from the police department, though, so I will, Ms. Jessie, if you can let me know how we're proceeding. I see somebody stand up in the back. I'm assuming that's either the applicant or their representative.
Madam Mayor, members of council, yes, the applicant is here to respond to any questions that you may have.
All right, you all may come forward. And if you could just press the button on the base of that mic. Yep, and then introduce yourselves.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is Dwayne Martin. I'm an attorney in the city of Atlanta, and I represent the applicant tonight in this alcohol license application. To my right are my clients, Mr. Lee Bryant, the owner of the business, and his father, Mr. Gregory Bryant, who is the licensee or agent for the alcohol license application. We are happy to answer any questions you might have about the application or the proposed business operation tonight. This is a family business. The company name is Alta Enterprises LLC, doing business as Crew Lounge. The record will reflect that the application location is 3271 Camp Creek Parkway. Mr. Bryant, both Mr. Bryants are here, as I said a moment ago, and are present and are happy to answer any specific questions you might have. It may be helpful for the body for Mr. Lee Bryant to give an overview of the business, and for Mr. Gregory Bryant to speak specifically about his responsibilities as the agent for the license. Both Mr. Bryants are tip certified for alcohol awareness training. We are happy to enter into the record a copy of their certifications, and we also have for the body a copy of the business's security plan, which we would also offer into the record for your consideration.
I agree with you. I think it would be helpful to get an overview from the owners before we open it up for questions. You did mention lounge, so I'm interested to hear what a lounge is, whether, we don't really approve nightclubs.
Good evening, council members. Before I get into that, I would like to just give you a brief introduction of myself. My name is Lee Bryant. I grew up here on the south side of Atlanta, College Park specifically. I have family that currently resides here in the East Point area. My grandmother specifically lives off of Cloverhurst Circle, off of Washington Road. I'm a proud graduate of Morehouse College. And my family and I, my wife and two boys, We live in the Princeton Lakes community, so not too far from the establishment that we're talking about. My wife actually sits on the board of the Princeton Lakes HOA. All that to be said, it's just my profession currently, ever since I graduated from Morehouse, I've been in the tech industry. Been in the tech industry since 2009. Started my career at Google. Currently, I'm at TikTok now. My professional responsibilities include operations, sales, and project management. This endeavor is more of a passion project for myself. I've always wanted to own a restaurant and bar, and I'm even excited to do this endeavor alongside my father. To talk about the Crew business as a whole, this Crew business is going to be a small restaurant and bar. Our location specifically, the customer space will only be around 500 to 600 square feet. So right now, the amount of people that can sit inside the establishment is around 30 people. I think there is an understanding that not wanting another club in the environment, and me being a resident of the area, I don't want that as well. I want our location to be a more mature, intimate environment that I can tell tell my friends and my partners that we can go to in our area without driving into the city. Crew Lounge is a franchise business, that is true, but all franchise owners operate independently. So with our restaurant, like I mentioned, we want this to be a more intimate, mature environment. Some of the dishes that the Crew business does have are we're focused around seafood, salmon, we'll have pasta, lobster mac and cheese, and specifically with me, I'm actually half Filipino. I'm really excited to introduce a Filipino dish into the business called lumpia. Again, I wanted to come in here as long as my father, as he will introduce himself, to not only showcase, what our business would likely be and what I would hope it to be, but more importantly, show you that as a resident nearby of the business, I have the same concerns that you all might have, and I will ensure that none of those things will happen, because that will not only impact this community, but also impact my family as well.
My name is Gregory Bryant. First of all, I want to tell all of you guys, thank you for letting me come back in. Previously, on the first visit, I was sick in the hospital. So again, thank you all for letting me come in. I'm Gregory Bryant. I'm a native of Atlanta, born and raised here. I'm a Grady baby. All my roots are here, and all my roots have been on the south side of Atlanta. I didn't want to live anywhere else but on the south side. I retired from the federal government as a quality assurance specialist with the Department of Defense, 28 years. And after retiring from the Department of Defense, my job title was a quality assurance specialist. So I worked places like Fort McPherson, which is down the street, almost 10 years. I did quality assurance work where in this job that we're proposing to have, I'll be doing the same type of work. I'll be verifying the requirements with the liquor license and also with the food license. And that would be my title in the facility. So I have passion for living on the south side. I'm a family man. I want nothing but good things for my community, and East Point has always been a part of my community.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you're feeling better. As they say, you look like the picture of health. So
Only by the grace of God.
God's grace and mercy.
Only by His
We're glad you're here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Martin Wright.
Thank you so much. And as someone that represents Ward D, that district is one of the highest performing TADs in the state of Georgia. And as you very well know, that we have some of the highest performing restaurants in the area. They are mainly chain restaurants, but it is something to be very proud of here in the city of East Point. One of my questions last week was when I went to research information on the Crew Lounge, there was some discrepancy because there's another Crew food and wine bar which boasts of a cozy and romantic wine bar, and it lures grape lovers chief and sophisticated foodies. And then the other Crew is a Crew Urban Lounge, a Crew Hookah Lounge, or a Crew Food and Wine Bar. So which Crew are you representing tonight?
Yes, so it is under the franchise of the Crew Hookah, not the Crew Wine. But like I mentioned before, this business will be independently owned, and we will have flavored tobacco. And apologies for not even mentioning that in my opening introduction. But we will have flavored tobacco for those who will be interested. However, the real focus point of our establishment will be a more intimate, more mature environment and audience, quite frankly.
All right, and you did mention that it is it's a chain because it's a Crew in Atlanta on Edgewood, Peter Street, Midtown, I believe East Atlanta, and now you'd like to come to Camp Creek. I can just say for myself, I envision that space being something more sustainable. A hookah lounge, I just cannot support that because I feel as though that doesn't go with the scope of the community that I live in or what is represented. In Camp Creek, or so far in the city of East Point, it's 4 locations for access to the hookah recreation, 3 are retail cigarette stores, and 1 is a restaurant. There are also 2 restaurants in Camp Creek that currently serve hookah, and not to mention the surrounding area. If you go up the street to Old National Highway or downtown College Park or downtown East Point, you can enjoy a hookah. What I would like to see in the area is something that is more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but an art gallery, a brew pub. I always mention Busboys and Poets. There's also another place that I'm fond of in Philadelphia called Uncle Bobby's, or even a police substation. But right now at this time, I cannot support a hookah lounge in Ward D. That's just, I mean, we have one of the highest performing TADs in the state of Georgia, and I don't know how residents would feel with having a hookah lounge in Ward D. So I'm not going to support this endeavor. And has it gone before the public? We probably haven't gotten that far in the hearing. We haven't gotten that far. Yeah, it's just a license, so no, I would like to see something that would better fit the scope of our community. We already have the U-Bar over there, Blue Cantina, JR Crickets. I would just like to see something different, not a hookah lounge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's good to see you, gentlemen. This question is for Mr. Martin. Is it not true that the majority of your revenue for this business will be with food?
Yes, in order to qualify under state law and under the city ordinance and to be open on Sundays, you have to derive at least 51% or more of your food sales from the sale of food. As Mr. Bryant mentioned in his original opening remarks, the flavored tobacco is a very small component of this business operation. Over 60% of the revenue is anticipated to come from the sale of food. And it is a very expansive menu with very attractive food offerings, as Mr. Bryant mentioned in his remarks.
And this question is for Mr. Bryant, the junior, Lee Bryant. Is it not true, or could you tell us this, has that property been dilapidated for a while?
It has. I know before it was.
That fire jerk chicken was
that
just
fire
in
jerk
there.
chicken?
They were just in there a couple months ago, so it hasn't been dilapidated for a while.
Well, we've had the,
So let me rephrase the question then. Did the fire jerk chicken survive? Did it stay open? And is it open now?
it is not open. It is not open now, to my understanding. I know we took over their lease because I think they had some financial situations regarding that. But we've occupied the space for about a year now.
Okay, and so for a year now, there's nothing that's been there?
No, not for a year. We took over the space at the end of last December.
And to your knowledge, do you know before that what was there?
Before that fire?
Yes, before the previous tenant.
I do not, but I do remember it was a Mrs. Winters back in the day. But
Yeah.
yeah, but outside of that, I do not.
To my colleagues, I'm familiar with the area. It's right near McDonald's and the storage. And it's my opinion that we need some economic development in that area. The fact that you have the support of a franchise means that it may be more sustainable, something that has a better chance of surviving on that corner. And I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. And this is a question for the city attorney. And I also have a question for you. But let me ask you this question first. So, yes, there used to be a Mrs. Winters. So are you going to renovate? What are you doing with the building?
Over the past year, been doing slow renovations within the building. So we started back in January, really, of trying to clean things out. There's a lot of love that needed to be put in that building. It wasn't being really taken care of, as I believe it should have been by at least the landlord. So over the year, we have rehabilitized that location.
Okay. So my next question is, it's going to be a hookah lounge as well as food and alcohol?
Correct. I mean, we will have the ability to offer flavored tobacco, which is hookah, but the premise outside of the hookah is really restaurant and bar.
So
Restaurant liquor.
basically, let's just say hypothetically, you don't sell alcohol, you're still going to have the hookah lounge. You're still going to do the hookah with the food.
If we didn't have the alcohol is actually our, we would focus outside of the food just on the alcohol portion. Hookah doesn't necessarily have to be the strongest component of our business, as it generally won't be. It would necessarily really be the food aspect of the food and then liquor aspect of the business.
Okay. So here's my question to the attorney, and we've talked about this in the past, and you were not the attorney at the time. And we've talked about the fact that the restaurants serve the alcohol, and how do we maintain it or know the gross income is 51% of food sales? And we talked about getting doing an audit and getting someone in here that actually does that to make sure that it's just not based on alcohol, and it turns any establishment turns into a nightmare for any community.
So I believe your question, Councilwoman Shropshire, is how do you ensure that the restaurant, the lounge is selling at least 51% of food? If I'm not mistaken, and I would need to do some research, is that this is a self-reporting type of industry where they would report their gross receipts. I do believe that business license checks do some of that annually, but that's annually, right, in the beginning of the year. But outside of those two methods, the self-reporting with their gross receipts, and then when business license does their checks, usually I think around March or April of each year. I am not aware of other methods to ensure that the reporting is indeed accurate. I know Mr. Martin, Attorney Martin, represents a lot of businesses in the surrounding jurisdictions that seek these type of alcohol license, so he may know better than I would, but I am not sure without doing some research, which I can do now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I think what you're referring to, and Attorney Wiggins, you wouldn't know about it because it was when the prior city attorney was here, but council had a robust discussion about reaching out to GMA, because GMA provides that service to cities of auditing our establishments that have alcohol licenses to make sure that at least 51% of the receipts are coming from restaurants. And when the former city attorney reached out, at one point it was kind of a lull. They weren't taking any new cities, but I think right before the change in city attorney, he shared that GMA may be accepting additional requests for that type of service. And so I think that's what Councilmember Shropshire is referring to. And so if we could just follow back up with GMA regarding that, because that's something that we've been talking about for quite some time.
Okay.
But and in fact, I can't even remember if it was that GMA was providing it again, because there was also discussion about the prior city attorney actually engaging, like us trying to find other people to do it for us.
Like a private industry.
Right,
do
to
it?
bring it to council so that we can, because we may have to do it ourselves, but that's kind of where we left off.
Okay. I will reach back out to GMA to see where they are with the city.
And then I think the other discussion was also around whether we might consider engaging people. So if you could figure out who provides that type of service and bring that back to council. Councilmember Cummings, I saw you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you guys so much for your presentation. Question, what are your hours of operation?
Our hours of operation will be comparable to like the Blue Cantina. I'm sorry, which would be 12 p.m. to 12 a.m.
12 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is that Monday through Friday, Sunday?
And that's Sunday through Thursday, and then 12 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday.
Okay. And I think the biggest thing that people have, I'm in support of your establishment. I think it's good to bring these businesses here. But what we don't want is the all night with the hookah lounge. And I think you've kind of thrown everybody off when you say hookah, because when you applied for your license, you applied as a restaurant bar, correct?
Correct.
Hookahs are just an option that you're giving customers.
Correct.
Everybody doesn't do hookahs.
Correct.
So I think the biggest is that they don't want it to be another U-Bar, and nothing against U-Bar, but not another U-Bar.
Correct. And as a resident here, lived here most of my life, I do not want another club on the south side, and I don't intend our restaurant to be a club. We don't have the size or capacity to even want to be a club. And in terms of like just overall safety, I want to make sure that even though our hours will lead up to like a midnight, I want to make sure that we have all the safety procedures and resources available in order to make sure that not only our area is safe, but the surrounding areas as well.
Because like I said, that's a concern. I mean, and just with the hours, it's all the makings of a baby U-Bar, and that's not what we want. But I do understand, I'm in my early 50s. So the crowd my crowd is totally different from your crowd that's there. So, I mean, the thing is and I mean, you're saying all the right things because that's what you're supposed to say so you can get the approval. And, you know, for us to go in and we take this chance on you, we want to make sure that you're going to do exactly what you said it is you're going to do. We don't want it to be an issue where PD is there all night with lights and everything on because there's always an issue going on. If you want to be a respectable business person in the city of East Point, I'm all for it and I support that. I just want to make sure, and I think you kind of like threw some people off with the hookah lounge because now it went from a restaurant bar to a hookah lounge and that's not what you guys have, correct?
Correct.
And because it's part of that crew chain, and I think those are what they have, but because it's independently owned, you can pretty much craft it to be what you'd like for it to be.
Correct.
And I understand what you're saying. It's a small, intimate setting. You'll do your restaurant-type food, and hookahs are just going to be an option
Correct.
that you offer to your customers. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was clear. And those hours, 12 to 12, and then 12 on Friday and Saturday, 12 to 1?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bryant, junior and senior, I get it. Okay, thank you, I yield.
Councilmember Shropshire,
Oh, Eric,
Other questions?
you already gone, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you're right. I wrote it on my paper. Eric, Councilmember Freely, Councilmember Shropshire, and then Councilmember Mitchell, and then I skipped, sorry, Councilmember Freely.
Not a problem. Thank you for being here and for your presentation. We're good? One question, I guess, for the city attorney. The hookah aspect of this, is that a given at this location, or are there additional permissions that are required?
What do you mean by is it a given?
I mean, is that use of this property?
Yeah, so I don't think this is a zoning
No, I understand.
permit type of request. This is just the ability to get an alcohol license.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the commercial district in which they sit, it may not specifically spell out hookah lounge, but tobacco, those kind of things likely are allowed in that commercial district. So is that what you're asking? Like, do they need some special permission to serve hookah?
Correct.
I do not think so.
Indoor tobacco consumption or something? No. Okay. And question for you, I mean, you said the space is like 600, 700 square feet?
Around 600 in the customer space, correct.
Okay. So, and I'm even older than Councilwoman Cummings, so I have even less frame of reference. Like, so if people are, and I understand hookah is not the same as smoking cigarettes and so
Right.
on in terms of the output, but how do you set up a restaurant in a space like that where people may just be there to dine and then the hookah? How does that work just in terms of the space?
Yeah, the patrons that will come into the restaurant will all have the option whether or not to indulge in the flavored tobacco or not. There, at this moment, is no separated space, if you will, just because it is so small. The entire building is around 1,700 square feet, but because it used to be a fast food chain, majority of that space is just kitchen space and back space. But unfortunately, we don't have that luxury to separate that out. Ideally, if it was a bigger space, we probably would.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, can I respond to something that Councilmember Friedland said?
Yeah.
So there's no special permissions that they would need from the city. They likely would need a tobacco license from the state. So I wanted just to clear that up.
Do you have a tobacco license at this point?
I'll speak to that question. No filings have been made with the Georgia Department of Revenue as of this date. The part of this process, the local license leads in the opening of a restaurant, your occupational tax certificate, your business license, you then have to upload those local documents to the state portal. That has not been done yet. So, but all of those documents, all of those filings will be subsequent to the local proceedings.
Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for investing in our city. This is more so for the city attorney, Madam City Attorney. So this portion is just for the alcohol license.
Correct.
So even if this is permitted or not, they would still be able to open, so it'll still have a restaurant regardless of if you. Okay. And I've seen the area where this restaurant is. It's far away, it's on a dead end on Camp Creek. It's not like Crest where it's like in the middle of a neighborhood somewhere. I think, something needs to be done with that area. And I'm hearing it's more so of a restaurant with the hookah option. I haven't heard you guys say it was a hookah lounge, correct?
Correct.
But you do have the ability to smoke hookah if.
You do.
Yeah, okay. Okay, just something to think about for my colleagues. So I feel like it's not going to be another Crest situation. It's nowhere near residents. It's actually a dead end. So, and it's just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Shropshire.
Thank you. What are you going to do about security? Will you have on-site security?
Yes, we plan to have on-site security. We want to really focus on off-duty East Point officers or Fulton County sheriffs primarily, especially during the later part of the hours, and private security in tandem with that.
Okay. And let me ask you this, at some point, if everything goes well, do you anticipate on expanding? So if someone did want to do the hookah part, it would be separated? Because there are people who don't like a lot of smoke.
Yeah, ideally, we would love for an opportunity to. It's not that much space to expand, but if there was an expansion piece, we would love to have an outdoor component, so that for those patrons who want to indulge in tobacco, they can do that freely, especially outside, right? So the engagement with the patrons that inside really doesn't have to fully interfere.
And like someone said, it's an option.
Correct.
To do it is not what the business is focused on doing. It's just an option.
Correct.
Your focus is basically the food.
Correct. Like the food, the liquor portion is really where we would kind of focus on for the patrons that are coming inside the restaurant. And again, hookah is just an option.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Martin Rogers.
Yes, and this is for the people that live in my community. It's important, I hear a lot about economic development, but economic development should be intentional. It's a hookah lounge at the end of the day. It's going to be sitting in Ward D, but what I would like to also mention is Section 10-272-C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. You can use these regulations within the C1 district. Land and structures shall be used in accordance with standards herein. A barber shop, beauty shop, art galleries, brew pubs, banks, car wash, an establishment that can provide an oil and water separation and sand trap. It goes on to talk about the types of businesses that could be there. I just feel that for the community, we have options of hookah lounges. We have options. What we need to start thinking about is better economic development. You can also put a gas station and a mini mart there as well. So that is my stance on the issue. And that's just where I stand on the issue. We need to familiarize ourselves with Section 10-27-2. So a lot of options out there for economic development, true economic development. Thank you. Studios, art, dance, photographer, thank you.
So thank you all again so much for being here. I think, and I mentioned it when you, for Attorney Martin,
That's correct.
said Crew Lounge.
Yeah, and I'd like
And
to
so,
address that.
I think that puts a different, and it doesn't even sound like that's the intention of Mr. Bryant Jr. or Sr. I was trying to find the legal name online. I'm not sure. What is the official legal name with the Georgia Department of Corporations?
The official legal name, I mentioned in my introductory comments, is Alta Enterprises LLC.
Say it again.
Alta, A-L-T-A, Enterprise LLC.
So this is a DBA of Alta Enterprise?
That is correct.
Have you already done the local publication for Crew Lounge as a DBA, or would you all consider another name? I'm not saying you have to, but like lounge just makes it sound
Right.
like it's not a restaurant, bar.
And my
primarily.
clients are open to the will of the body. First of all,
So that's not something I can make you
know.
do. Let me just,
I
let me
see.
be clear and make sure our city attorney doesn't start looking at me sideways. I'm not asking you to
Right.
do that, but I'm just saying when you open up with Crew Lounge, like lounge sounds like club. It sounds like something different than the intention of the owners. And so maybe that's something to consider. I don't know how far you all have gone with the name, and even with the franchise, when you go online, it just says Crew. It's Catch a Vibe or something, but it doesn't have lounge. It doesn't, I didn't look at all of the different locations. I'm not sure what they put on the end of it, so I don't know if the franchise allows you to say Crew Plus, right? Or what you're buying into. But that I think is a concern, and it will be a concern that you will have as you try to market your business. If this is approved, or whether you open with or without an alcohol license, calling it a lounge just adds a different flavor to it. The other thing is that there are residential units over there. There are a lot of apartments right behind this establishment that have hundreds of units, like right behind it.
I used to live, I used to live behind the McDonald's, adjacent to.
Right, and that property kind of cuts back, right? So it's kind of immediately adjacent to that border behind, Checkers, McDonald's, and
Yes.
all of those things that go around there. So there are residential in that area. But it sounds like those hours may not be as concerning as some other establishments that we've had in the city, where there's been concerns or quality of life issues for the residents in that area. And again, I just want to indicate they're apartments, but they're still residents of the East Point. And so we want to make sure that as you move forward with this business concept, that you are not surprised if somebody comes up to council because of something that's happened there, because there's residential right nearby. And then you heard us talk about, and that's a city issue regarding auditing of the receipts, but what have you all gotten down the planning process far enough to know like how you will be tracking and monitoring your restaurant, your food receipts versus your alcohol receipts, and how you'll keep those records?
I can speak to that. Most restaurants have a point-of-sale system that requires the entry of the type of purchase made, whether it be a food item or a beverage item or some other alternative item, merchandise, or in this case, flavored tobacco. So there will be a very reliable way to track the sales and confirm whether the business meets the state requirements for food sales. And to the extent that there are concerns amongst the council members, primarily from the district council member, ward council member, we're very sensitive to those concerns. There's a general negative connotation towards hookah in Metro Atlanta. There are businesses that do not, quite frankly, operate responsibly, that serve or feature flavored tobacco as a part of their product mix. But the Bryants are committed as a family business to being responsible business operators first. following the law, meeting the legal requirements of both the City of East Point's ordinances and the state of Georgia's ordinances. But more importantly, as members of the general community in the south side of the city, nearby residents of nearby cities, very close by, they also have their own personal and professional reputations to uphold in their own communities. And so they are very sensitive to the fact that operating a responsible business is not a drain or distraction on very important and precious city resources is an important component of this process. And as the city attorney has said in her responses to the council members' questions, this application, the business meets all the legal requirements. We do have as a very small component of the business the flavored tobacco, but this is a restaurant. Lounge is a term of art and not necessarily a deal breaker by any means. In order to operate this business or successfully market this business. So when I say those items are on the table, not for negotiation in this proceeding, obviously, but they certainly are to the extent that there are concerns about components of the business that might not be as desirable as others, that they are able to open their business and focus on the primary operational aspects of that business, which are the service of good food, the service of craft alcoholic beverages based upon the crew mix or menu type, and if it is deemed to be appropriate, the possibility for the sale of flavored tobacco.
Yeah, I'll just share with you that recently council approved a map for East Point and Hateville that has different stops for autonomous shuttles or microtransit connecting to the world's busiest airport, Camp Creek, downtown East Point, our hotel areas. And so, again, when that becomes available, you know, whether or not a person would pass a lounge because they think it's not a nice experience, right? But just offering that information to you for you to understand what's happening in the area. I also live in the area as well and would love to not have to travel so far to get really good food and enjoy some time with my husband or my family. So I think there's a right market for the right type of business, right? And the right type of luxury, or not luxury, leisure activity that doesn't negatively impact the quality of life for the residents that live right behind it in that area, right? But also is attractive to the residents that are in the area, but also people who traverse between Camp Creek and the world's busiest airport. So thank you again so much, Councilwoman Shropshire.
I just have one last question. Do you own a restaurant? Is this your first business?
Yes, this is my first restaurant business, which is why went the franchise route in order to have the understanding, full understanding of how to successfully run a business outside of just my my operational expertise in my tech field.
Yes, I just want to say this really quick. I commend you for stepping out. You know, I preach entrepreneurship. I think that's something to be admired. I also want to say, and I want my colleagues to keep in mind, regardless if this passes or not, the business is still going to be there, correct? And having this license will help you be successful, you think?
100%.
Okay, so we want to see you succeed. We're behind you. Well, I am, but you know, something needs to be done with that space. And if that's something that will help you succeed, like you said, if you vote it down, that the business is still going to be there. So, and then if not, then, you know, the last business failed. I would like to see you guys succeed. I think, you know, something needs to be done. You know, I think that's something that's going to bring in revenue and, you know, something to tax. So I will leave it at that. Like,
thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Freeland.
Sorry, just another question. So I was looking at I assume that this is the franchise brand that you're a part of. It's crewlounge.com,
Correct.
Edgewood, so on. maybe those three locations are all owned by the same franchisee, but all those locations are listed and seem to have the same sort of menu and so on. Would you be using that same sort of web template? And the point of my question is, when you go to menu, there's bottle service, hookah, cocktails, and food at the bottom, which to me, if you're scrolling on a website, you put the most important stuff up top. So just curious, what is that the template for your business, or is that just that franchisee's choice?
Right. So we would leverage some of the items that have been successful for that business, but also because we are independently owned, we have a lot of the franchise gives us a lot of control in order to kind of put things the way that we see fit for our individual location. So despite the holistic franchise having, I guess, the menu and the categories and the way it is, we can differentiate ourselves in order to make sure that the things that we want to be recognized within our business are really highlighted up front and center versus kind of what you were viewing when you pulled up the general franchise website.
There was one other thing I wanted to mention. That Fire Jerk Chicken closed on September 30th of 2023. So then you all bought it in October, or did they just transfer their lease to you? Are you under the same lease?
Yeah, we assumed their lease in December of 2020.
In December of 2020. So for the last year, you all have been doing build out, or?
Last year, we have been doing slow build out, correct.
So, and you mentioned, and I've supported that business, so I've been in, and the majority of the building was a kitchen. Have you all made it a smaller kitchen, like?
The kitchen size has stayed the same. We had to do a lot of cosmetics, such as like plumbing and things with the roof. And unfortunately, even though we assumed the lease in December, we had challenges in finding the right contractor up until the March-April timeframe. So the things that we were doing aesthetically, we were able, like in terms of like trying to clean up the area and things of that nature, we were doing that before we hired the official contractor to really put his foot down and change the look and the aspect of the building to what it is now. But to your original question, we've had it since December.
And so, yeah, you do have very limited seating area if you kept the same kitchen, because that was a really large kitchen.
And still a very large kitchen. So we have a very large kitchen. The seating size is not that large. However, it's large enough for us to be happy with.
Okay. Make sure. Any other questions? This is here. We had the public hearing on, I think it was November the 18th. And it was presented to us at the November 11th work session. And I know at that meeting, the request was made for us to defer it. Again, we're glad you're healthy. Right. But the reason we had to have the public hearing on the 18th is because we'd already advertised it. And so we did have the public hearing, but then deferred the decision until tonight. The police department recommends issuance of an alcohol license for consumption on premises. Oh, there she is right there. Consumption on premises, and Mr. Bryant Sr. has passed the background process, adhered to advertising requirements, and obeyed all bylaws required as a new applicant. And he would be the registered agent of an existing business crew and has no history with the city of East Point. So the request is for decision as to whether or not the issuance of an alcohol license for consumption on premises will be allowed.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the alcohol consumption license for CRU Crew.
Second.
The second, alcohol consumption on premises? Okay. It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Freely? Councilmember Ziegler? Councilmember Cummings? Councilmember Mitchell? Councilmember Butler? Councilmember Martin Rogers? Councilmember Shropshire? The motion passed.
All right, thank you so much. So you all have one less hurdle to cross as you move forward. We wish you well. When is your tentative open date?
Still in discussion, hopefully in the beginning of the year.
All right, thank you all. Have
All
a
right,
great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, get a motion to open the floor for discussion and possible action on mandatory insurance for Georgia first responder, PTSD state insurance program in the amount of $33,014 from MetLife.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Mrs. Jessie?
Madam Mayor, members of council, House Bill 451 was passed during this last legislative session, and it is for public officers and employees supplemental illness-specific insurance for certain first responders with occupational post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is a mandatory program for local governments that have first responders. And there was a packet of information that was sent from the state insurance program that we included in your council packets. The insurance will be obtained from MetLife. This is all handed to us. The city did not procure this, but this came as a package through the state, and the insurance would be in the amount of $33,014.
All right, any questions for city manager or motion? Really?
Just curious, you said it's mandatory,
Yes,
so it's mandatory that a municipality have this insurance?
yes.
And so, I'm just curious, like, we're voting, what would be sort of the, is there some other option, or is?
Yes, you're approving the amount. It's state law.
Yeah.
So basically, what you're adopting, they had a package that included a resolution that had to be adopted by the council. And it says that we are participating in this program and that we have secured the insurance. So we're asking that you approve the dollar amount.
Sure, and where did you get, where does the dollar amount come from?
It is, it should have been one of the attachments in your, on your packet that breaks down their components to it. Component one would be a lump sum for PTSD diagnosis benefit, and then there's a disability limit. So those two combined would be $33,014. So the first component, the lump sum for PTSD diagnosis benefit, is $10,263. And for component two, which is the PTSD disability limit, is $22,649. And then there is something for volunteer first responders, but it totals $33,014.
Okay, thank you.
I just have a question about what we need to approve tonight, right? So there's a resolution attached to the agenda. It's a form resolution, though. And so our information hasn't been inserted. Do we need to adopt that resolution and the amount of the policy from MetLife? Or do we just need to authorize the amount of the policy from MetLife and then later do the resolution?
I'd have to defer to the city attorney.
Madam Mayor, looking at the resolution, I don't think it's required. I mean, we can put it in our format, but it is really a general resolution that we would just put our name at the end on that last page of it on behalf of the city of East Point, right? That we have adopted the resolution requiring the insurance. So other than putting it in our format as we do with the heading, I don't think there's anything else that is necessary because it refers to employer throughout the resolution. And it's just to Councilman Freely's point, it's not just for municipalities, it's for any employer that employs a first responder. So that could be EMS, it could be fire, sheriff. And then on the last, oh, that's something else. And so I can put it on our format so that it can be consistent with other resolutions. But doing what you said, Madam Mayor, inserting the amount, and we're going with MetLife. I know other municipalities have looked at other insurance companies to offer it, would be sufficient to get this passed.
And the resolution does reference attachment or Exhibit A, which is the election form. I think they're talking about the policy coverage, and that is attached to the agenda as well. So there is an option to adopt a resolution to add membership in the Fund of Georgia Interlocal Risk Management Agency with the election of $33,014 coverage from MetLife, and allow the city attorney to address any clerical or scrivener's error, and that would allow them to insert the information. Councilmember Butler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, excuse me for a question, I got kind of confused at the end. So, the $33,000 plus is the premium that we have to pay MetLife, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that number based upon the number of employees that we have? And is this something that's because it's a group insurance? I mean, how do they come up with that amount? Or does every municipality have to pay the same amount?
No. Some people procured theirs, went through the open market for this type of insurance, but we're opting because GMA and ACCG had already done a lot of the research and work on it to take their recommendation and go with MetLife.
And do we know how long the term is?
1 year, and it's effective January 1st.
Okay.
So it's an annual premium.
Should we approve this tonight? I know council mentioned once before having some type of system to monitor when the deadline comes due, that we can have this discussion beforehand so we won't run into the deadline.
You're saying for 2020, like for, because this will be effective for 2025, you're saying for 2026?
Right, so I don't know what we determined that threshold would be, if it would be 6 months out, you send it to bid or something like that. Having stated that, though, I agree with the city's recommendation to use MetLife. And then next year, maybe we can explore other options.
Yes. Thank you. That was our thinking, that this is a new endeavor, and it made sense to go with the recommendation from ACCG and GMA. And during the year, we can look at, as Attorney Wiggins said, what maybe some other entities have opted to do, what's on the market, and go from there.
Madam Mayor, I just had one more thing to add. The other thing is that if we have existing coverage, it may be even an option to negotiate with our existing coverage to include some of the things that's required by this new law, to maybe give you a better price, and you're only going out to market for, because it's two components. So that's something that can be looked at too for 2026.
And since it's supposed to be effective January 1st, of course, it's definitely time sensitive. Appendix A actually is the election form. So I don't know if we need to do two separate motions, one adopting the resolution and then one selecting coverage through MetLife for $33,014.
If that's a question, then I think either way would be effective to get us there.
Okay. So can we get a motion to adopt the resolution to add membership in a fund of Georgia Interlocal Risk Management Agency and allow the city attorney to, how do you say it, clerical or scrivener's errors?
I don't think they're errors, but allow the city attorney to put the resolution in the proper format.
Madam
Then
Mayor.
we can't adopt it. Go ahead, Councilman Butler.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I know it's time sensitive, so what's the time sensitive component? Is it, because the other piece is just approve participation, approve MetLife for a premium amount of $33,014 for mandatory insurance for Georgia first responders, PTSD state insurance program. So we can do that, and then maybe come back with a resolution
Yeah, let's
later.
do that, because the MetLife quote is only valid for 30 days, and so I don't want to run into it expiring and then the amount goes up. So if we could do it that way, then I can have a resolution for the December 9th meeting.
16th. 9th is a work session. I mean, we could say action will be taken, that's fine too.
9th or 16th, I think
Okay.
that will be sufficient.
Councilmember Butler.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the contract for the mandatory insurance premium of $33,014 from MetLife.
You said contract, you meant premium, right?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what
You said approve the contract. So, and I know we're trying to get this done because we are on a kind of time crunch. But if you say approve a contract, there'll be an assumption that a contract was attached. So if we could just approve the selection of MetLife to provide the mandatory insurance for Georgia First Responder PTSD State Insurance Program at a premium amount of $33,014.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. And Madam City Clerk, if you can put for this agenda item on Monday, in the event that the two documents need to travel together, the premium and the resolution, we probably should take action on Monday. So for this item, if you can put action may be taken on the workshop agenda, work session agenda. All right. Comments from council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to take this time once again to remind people of our Silver Fox Ball that will be on Thursday, December 5th from 6 to 10 p.m. At the same time, my next item is I would like to say a special thank you to some people who volunteered in our community for our turkey giveaway. The first turkey giveaway was held by former City Councilwoman Karen Renee. I'm in the East Washington, in the East Washington area, Montel Homes. So it was a pleasure to be with her and Miss Jones as they gave away turkeys to the people in Montel Homes. The second thing I would like to say a special thank you to my council colleagues, Councilman Mitchell, Councilwoman Cummings, former City Councilman Clyde Mitchell, former City Councilwoman Stephanie Gordon, and the men of, and I hate to say this, but I got to thank them, Alpha Phi Alpha, for coming out and helping us to pass out turkeys. And also say thank you to my colleagues who also did the same thing in a different part of the city. Councilwoman Shropshire, I think the mayor and councilwoman, and some, I don't want to speak on the other people, but thank you guys for doing that too. So I want to thank everybody for participating, and good job to the city council.
Councilmember Cummings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for those who attended the meeting, both in person and via live, via social media. Just kind of echo some of the sentiments, some of the things that Councilmember Butler stated as well. Just thanking everybody for coming out, participating in the turkey giveaway, and a special thanks to all of our city employees. We had our the third annual 100 Givings of Thanks turkey giveaway for the city employees. We had members from pretty much every division of labor with the city: fire, jail, the meter department, HR, customer care, Parks and Rec, Building and Grounds, Police, Power, IT, Water and Sewer, Solid Waste, Fleet, Planning and Zoning, Finance, Contract and Procurement, Property Tax, and Public Works. Everyone from each one of those departments, not everybody, but someone in each one of those departments were recipients of 100 turkeys, bunches of collard greens, and Patti LaBelle pies that were given away the Monday before Thanksgiving. And it was great. Thank you to the brothers of Omega Psi Phi that came out and assisted. I'm helping to put the baskets and everything together. And a big shout out to my mom that got out there and kind of cracked the whip and made sure that everybody was in order doing what they were supposed to do. But just a happy holiday to everyone. Continue to be safe out there. And I guess we'll see everyone on Thursday at the Silver Fox Ball. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, and I want to say thank you to all those who helped and volunteered for the turkey drive that was held at Jefferson Park Recreation Center, the Zeta Phi Beta sorority, the Eastern Stars, the Deltas as well, and the Sigma Phi Beta fraternity for their donations. And thank you to those who donated the non-perishable food items. Everyone was able to get something that day as well, along with the collard greens that was given out. And I just want to remind people that we're still within the holiday season, and there are a lot of families who still struggle and have hard times. So we are asking, and it don't have to be a lot, if you could just drop off any non-perishable food items that could help a family in need right here at City Hall or any fire stations up until December, I would say the 17th, that Friday, because we do have a lot of families that are struggling. And we want to continue to help those that are in need, because I think Christmas is one of the times that they really struggle. So again, thank you to all those who volunteered on that Saturday to help out with the turkey giveaway. Thank you.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. one more. And thank you to the mayor and Councilmember Martin as well for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to reiterate, Warm Wishes with Ward D, a holiday gathering and community celebration, which is going to be held Saturday, December 7th, 2024, from 10 a.m. until 12 noon at the Word of Faith Love Center, 2435 Ben Hill Road, East Point, Georgia, 30344. Celebrate the holidays with Ward D. Please donate one non-perishable food item that will be delivered to a local food pantry. RSVP is not required but strongly encouraged, and you can call 404-270-7090 to RSVP. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? All right, again, reminder, tomorrow is Ward B at large election, runoff election for the vacant Ward B at large seat. You have to vote at your assigned polling location tomorrow, so make sure you know what that is, where that is. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And this Friday, December the 6th, we will have our tree lighting here at City Hall from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, that's 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And do we have any executive session items?
Madam Mayor, legal has one legal and one personnel.
One legal and one, I'm sorry, I missed it.
One legal, one personnel.
One legal, one personnel. Ms. Jessie?
No, ma'am.
We definitely need to have a discussion on at least 2 real estate update. Anything else from council? 1 personnel? Anything else? We have 2 real estate, 1 legal, and 2 personnel. Yeah.
Motion to adjourn into executive session for 2 personnel, 2 real estate, and 1 legal.
So moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. We're in recess. Motion to reconvene. Oops.
Motion to adjourn, motion to,
She moved. Is there a second?
second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? To reconvene.
I was trying to
No,
say it.
Councilmember Mark Rogers said reconvene. It was already a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Can we get a motion to approve executive session meeting minutes?
Motion to approve executive session meeting minutes. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor? It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Good night, East Pointers.